Welcome back to GotWire. Today I have this gigabyte server. I'm going to install it in my rack at the data center and replace my UDM Pro and install either pfSense or pfSense onto this and use this as my router. I'm going to slot this dual SFP Plus 10 gig card into it because all it came with is 3, I believe, RJ45 gigabit ports on it. So this will get me 10 gig for my router that I'm going to use this as. And I'm going to install pfSense or pfSense on these 128 gig SSDs and ZFS mirror on them. So that way if one fails, the other will take over. And that way my router won't get bricked. It does have the dual power supplies in it. You can see the zip ties on the back to hold the power wires. And it comes with one Intel Xeon Gold 6132 CPU. And it comes with 128 gigs of DDR4 RAM, which is completely overkill, but I'm fine with that. I know this whole thing is overkill, but I got a pretty good deal on it on eBay. It came with two 2 terabyte Micron SSDs that I'm going to install in another server. These alone were probably both of them were almost the cost of the server, so I thought that was a pretty good deal that they both came with the server. The other one's installed in the bottom slot here. And gigabyte servers, I've had really good luck with them. I found an eBay seller that was selling a bunch of them for a real good deal, so I went ahead and snagged this one and I'm going to use it as my router. I'm having some problems with my UDM Pro doing file transfers from here to my data center with WireGuard, and I'm hoping this will fix my slow speed issue. So here in a minute, I'll show you an up close look at the insides of this. And here's the inside of it. You just press this button here and slide it, the cover off. And this is the CPU that is actually in here because this is one with all the RAM sticks. This one over here has no RAM with it. So this one's not populated, but that's fine. This is just gonna be a overkill router. And it has all the fans here. It has your drive bays underneath here with the SATA cable plugging into the board. And these are SATA only, so they're not SAS, but that's fine with me because I'm just gonna have those 2 boot SSDs. And then in the back here, this slot here, and I believe it's a full PCI Express 16 slot right there. It's a riser that converts it to 90 degree. And then I just installed the card right here. I have my dual power supplies. So in the next clip here, I'll show you how easy or how hard it was to install pfSense or pfSense and what I went with. Oh, here's my current setup. I got both power supplies hooked up and they're both 1200 watt power supplies. They're pretty much overkill for the one CPU that's in here. I got VGA hooked up to my temporary monitor so I can see what it's doing. I got the 10 gig SFP Plus card installed here. I'm gonna make one my LAN and one my WAN. I got the bootable USB drive made. I decided to use pfSense. I got my keyboard plugged in and I got it set up there. And here's the management port on my setup. I get pfSense CE installed, and then it also has these 3 1 gig RJ45 ports. So I'll get it turned on here and we'll start to install pfSense. We'll get it booted up here. It sees my 2 SSDs and we'll see what we get on the screen here. This thing is pretty loud. You get the normal gigabyte flash screen and I'm gonna press delete and get into the BIOS and configure this so when it loses power, it'll automatically turn back on. Well, if you ever get one of these gigabyte servers with this BIOS setup, if you want to set it so it turns on after it loses its power, like a regular router, you just go to advanced and then it's under chipset configuration and then restore AC power loss. You just hit enter and restore AC power loss. What you want it to do basically when it gets power again, I just set mine to power on. So that way when it loses power and then it gets power again, it'll automatically power on. And then you hit exit and then I went over to boot up top here and then I went down to boot option and the first one I chose my USB stick and then my second one I chose hard disk. Now before I disabled all those and just had boot option 1 on the USB stick. And then after I installed it, it said, hey, there's no operating system. And I had to go back in here and set the boot option to the pfSense install. So I believe if I leave the second one as hard disk, if it doesn't see the USB, it'll boot from these SSDs, or try to at least. So we'll go up here and hit save and config. Save changes and exit, and then we'll see if it boots from the USB drive. And I got lucky and it looks like we didn't run into any errors, so we'll go ahead and hit enter and accept this. And then we'll hit install pfSense. And then we have our interfaces here. It's like the WAN interface. This must be a new update because it looks like all it has listed is my 10 gig card. At least I hope that's my 10 gig card. but we'll just go ahead and pick one. So I didn't end up seeing my 10 gig card, which is right here. And I went ahead and used my label maker and I labeled the LAN and the WAN for the 10 gig card. I just got a short little SFP Plus DAC cable, and I got this switch here that I'm using to convert it from SFP Plus to RJ45 so I can test it with my laptop. But what happened was the server only came with one CPU, and apparently CPU 0 didn't have access to this PCI Express slot. It was wired to CPU 1. So I went ahead and bought another CPU and slotted it in here. And for the record, make sure you get the right CPU so they match. The first one I bought didn't match and it didn't boot. So I got the right CPU in here, and then you also have to make sure you get the RAM sticks in the right slot, because when I booted it up, I didn't have them in the right slot and it wouldn't boot. It acted like a RAM stick was bad and I had to move them to the right slot so it would boot. So now that I got all that done, I'll show you on my computer here in a second how I configured WireGuard for site-to-site VPN. Alright, so here is the interface of pfSense after I get it all set up on the server. The IP address I made it is 10.4.4.1, and when you first set up pfSense, you can change your subnet to whatever you want. I made mine 10.4.4.1 because that's what I already have at the data center, and that's what all my servers' static IP addresses are, is in the 10.4.4 subnet. So we'll go ahead and get logged in here, and as you can see here on the gateways, it's red, it says offline, and this isn't my WAN IP address, this is the gateway of the WAN IP at the data center. But as you can see, they're both offline because I already configured the static IP address because I have a static there. And this is my WireGuard home tunnel, this is its subnet 10.5.5.1, and I have my WireGuard status up here on the top left, site to site to house. And here, this is the status of the WireGuard VPN tunnel. Obviously it's not up, it's never been established because I still have to go rack this, and hopefully once I plug it up, it'll automatically connect to the pfSense box here. And I had to cover this up because it has my key and my public IP of my house pfSense that I'm trying to connect to. But this is the subnet here of my house pfSense 192.168.4 dot whatever, and I just named it home here. And then I had to create some firewall rules. I went to firewall rules, and then you click on WAN, and you have to make a rule for the port for WireGuard. So in this case, it's 51820. So I went ahead and made that rule to allow that port to accept traffic in from the WAN interface. And then you also have your tunnel. I named my tunnel WG home for WireGuard home, and you have to create a firewall rule for that to allow traffic to pass through it. So in this case, I made the firewall rule, and it says allow all for site to site. That's what I named it. It's just a simple action pass interface WireGuard home, address family IPv4, protocol any, source any, destination any, save. And then you have to make a peer for the WireGuard tunnel. So I went to VPN WireGuard, and I clicked on peers, and I named mine home peer. And of course you have to make a peer for the WireGuard tunnel. So you click on VPN WireGuard and then you click on peers. I named mine home peer. This here in the middle is covering up my keys. I know you can't see the full key, but I still want to cover them up. So once you get the peer made, your firewall rules made, your gateway made on both boxes, then you can try to configure it. I'm not exactly a wizard with all this. I don't know how to do everything exactly the right way. I'm probably going to fumble through this and scratch my head and beat my head against the wall a couple of times, but I followed a video from Lawrence System Technologies. It's a real good video. It tells you step by step how to do everything. I'll try to link it down in the description if you want to set up a pfSense site-to-site VPN like this. I was just showing you a little bit of what I did. I'll let you know how it goes once I get it racked up. I'm fixing to leave to go to the data center right now, so I'll go ahead and go there, and I will cut it to when I come back. Alright, well, I'm back from the data center. I got everything racked up and working and configured, and let's just say that was no easy feat. I spent basically the whole day trying to get it to work and configured, and a little bit of yesterday night trying to pre-configure the router, so I thought I could just rack it and have it work, but obviously that didn't work. I had some small stuff wrong on my setup. And like I said, if you want to do this, I'll have linked down below Lawrence Technology Systems video on how to do it step by step, because I am not the one to do it step by step. Or as I said, I even messed up my own setup, so I'm just telling you what I had to go through and letting you know I got it working. I know my thermals are hot, the cooling and the data center rack isn't the greatest, It's like a sauna on the back side of my rack. I'll show you a picture of it here. And I need to do some more cable management because this looks like a mess right now, but I was kind of crunched for time today trying to get everything working. But up top here, it comes in up here through the top right, my fiber, which is a single mode fiber 10 gig connection, and then I plug it into my router here. I put the router in the top rack space here, and these other cables go down to the other racks underneath me, so their internet actually runs through mine to get down to theirs, because the internet runs on top and the power comes up from the bottom. So my power actually runs through other people's cages to get to mine. But I have the WAN plugged into the WAN port here on my router. This is a 10 gig SFP Plus card. And then I have the LAN direct attached copper cable going to my switch aggregation here. And all these go to my servers. And I have 3 Proxmox servers. And then I have a custom server built down here. This is running TrueNAS scale. This is my main storage server here. These other ones here, these 3 servers here are my Proxmox. I'm going to try to put them into a cluster. These 3 right here are just basically the ones that I mess around with. If I brick them, I brick them. That's fine. This one down here on the bottom is what I'm using as my offsite backup, my cloud. And of course, each one of these servers has dual power supplies, redundant power supplies, except for the one that I built, because that's just made from gaming PC parts and a gaming PC power supply. And then this right here, this APC, is my power from my rack. I think it has like 8 or 10 plugs on it. And then the front of my rack is what it looks like here. I tried to label everything. I haven't labeled my router yet, but this one here is my router. It's only got the 2 boot drives in it. And then this one underneath it is Proxmox, and then this one here on the bottom with the Dell cover. That's running Proxmox, but it has TrueNAS scale. It has a VM set up with TrueNAS scale and drives on it. I have an access point here. This is my old UDM Pro router that I need to remove out of there. I'm gonna factory reset that and do away with that. And then this is my main storage server down here on the bottom. And then these are my connections going to the back of these servers for management. That's why this one here has 2 IPs, 10.4.4.7 and 10.4.4.8. And as you can see here on this page, this is the WireGuard status, home peer, connection 53 seconds, and I have it do a connection to it like every 30 seconds just to keep the tunnel open. And I do not have a VPN turned on. It's just running through my router, so this is great. I can just pull up these web configs without having to worry about turning on a VPN on my client, either on my laptop or my phone. It's just automatically set up, which is great. So I figured we'd do a quick file transfer from my house to my server, and that's to my server at the very bottom, my custom built one. We'll go ahead and move a clip from this video over and see how long it takes. I think this is a pretty small file. It's only 137 megabytes. Should be pretty much instantaneous. Yep. So we'll go ahead and get a bigger file here and see how long a bigger file takes. So this is a bigger file. This is, I believe, 6.49 gigabytes. So we'll go ahead and move this over here. And we're actually getting above a gig. And it looks like I'm getting about almost a gig and a half file transfer to the data center from my house, running the WireGuard VPN site-to-site from pfSense box to pfSense box. And that's pretty fast. I love that with the UDM Pro. I was having some problems where it was going down almost to like 5 megabits per second, 3 megabits per second, and I couldn't figure it out. So I just went ahead and installed a pfSense box. And this is way better than what I was getting, so I am really happy with this. And that towards the end, I almost hit 2 gigabits per second. And we'll go ahead and run a speed test. This is open speed test that I have running on my TrueNAS scale box. So we'll go ahead and see how fast this is. And we're getting almost a gigabit each direction, and that's not bad. I would definitely take that. So all in all, it wasn't easy to set up a site-to-site VPN using WireGuard with pfSense, but it was definitely a learning experience and it was kind of fun. And I'm getting way better performance than what I was getting with my UDM Pro. I don't know if I had a bad UDM Pro. I probably went into its settings and messed up something, but I wanted to use pfSense at my data center and pfSense at my house. And with the site-to-site VPN setup, I don't have to turn on a WireGuard client on my device. It's already there because it's running on my pfSense router at home. I don't have to think about it. I can just type in the IP and mess with my server. And like I said, if you're doing this on your own, I would definitely follow some documentation or that video. Like I said, I'll have it linked down in the description. That way, if you wanted to do this too, you can follow it step by step and get yours set up with 2 pfSense routers. And before with UDM Pro, like I said, I was getting horrible speeds, like 2 megabits per second, trying to move a file from here to the data center. And I would just put the file on there and let it run overnight, and eventually it would get there, but I couldn't deal with it and I didn't want to take the time to fix it. So I'm like, I'll just use pfSense there since I'm using it here at my house. And as you saw, I was getting pretty good speeds. Like I said, I have 2 gigabit internet here at my house with AT&T, and I have 10 gigabit internet at the data center. So what I was getting around 1.5 gigabits per second, that's plenty fast enough for me, especially through a VPN. I love it. So now when I back up data from here to there, it's way faster and I don't have to wait on it. So if you're thinking about doing something like this, go ahead and do it. I was putting it off for a little bit because I knew it would be a pain in the butt. It took me all day, but I got it done. But now I have an awesome setup where I don't even have to think about it. I just, like I said, just type it in and it works. But thanks for watching. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. Hit the like button. Leave me a comment. I have a Discord server if you want to join that. The link's in the description. I also have a website if you want to check that out. That link's also in the description. And if you want to become a member and access these videos early and some other special content, you can also become a member. The link for that is in the description also. But I'm Adam. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.